Tennessee Titans head coaching interviews begin on Wednesday. I'm going to tell you who they've got lined up, when the interviews are going down, and a timeline for the Titans to make their hire. All on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. On today's show, we are going to go over the current Tennessee Titans interview schedule. They have 5 head coach interviews set already, 2 in person and 3 virtual. I'm going to go over the differences between the two, talk about the timeline of when these scheduled interviews are set to take place. Also, we'll talk about the coaches that have not been requested for an interview yet that have me a little worried. And Mike Borgonzi did a press conference on Tuesday. He went over why the Titans job is attractive, what they're looking for in the next head coach, and had something pretty funny to say about Cam Ward's involvement in the process. So we're going over all of that, a jam-packed show. Before we dive into it, I do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, you need to be one. No one is going to keep you as up to date and as informed about the head coaching search as I am here on the Locked On Titans podcast. But with that being said, again, the Tennessee Titans interview process officially kicks off on Wednesday. They have a couple of virtual interviews scheduled for Wednesday. They have another one scheduled for Thursday. They have in-person interviews scheduled for this weekend. We start with the virtual interviews that are going to take place on Wednesday. Number 1, Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator of the Indianapolis Colts. And number 2, Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos. Now, Vance Joseph, Denver Broncos are still in the playoffs, but they have a bye, so he's eligible to do some virtual interviews this week. Anarumo, obviously, the Colts are out of it. The Colts are out of it. That's right. Man, they were really feeling themselves in the middle of the season. Losers. Welcome to the loser table as well. But regardless, those are the 2 interviews that are going to kick off the process for the Titans. Now, I'm going to be upfront and honest with you guys, as I always am. I hate both of these options. I do not want... Lou Anarumo might be at the very bottom of my list. Like, if we ranked the coaching candidates that the Tennessee Titans have been, rumored to be interested in, have officially been interested in, Lou Anarumo could be at the very bottom of my list. He's 60 years old. His defense is in Cincinnati before he was fired. His defense in Indianapolis, not that good. It's not worth it. What he brings to the defensive side of the ball, not worth it for a coach that old, without offensive experience, with defenses that underperform. Not interested whatsoever. But let me say this. I think it's very wise for the Tennessee Titans to do a virtual interview with Lou Anarumo. And I told you this on yesterday's show. You're going to hear me repeat this throughout the process because people need to hear it and understand it. Just because the Titans interview somebody does not mean that they are truly one of the top candidates for a head coaching position. You could either A, be looking for a potential coordinator to go with your head coach, or, which is what I think the Lou Anarumo interview is, fact-finding. You're going to get somebody within your division who you're probably going to have to play against next year. Lou Anarumo is probably going to stay as the defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. You're going to have to play his defense twice a year. Wouldn't it be smart to say, hey, Lou, how would you defend Cam Ward? Hey, Lou, what do you think about the Titans defense? Hey, Lou, you had good success against the Titans offense this year. What did you see? What did you attack within the Titans offense? What do you think Cam Ward's weaknesses are that you were trying to go after during the game? And all of that information can be taken and then used to beat the Colts and beat Lou Anarumo's defense. So I think that is a factor there. Matt Nagy, well, let's stay here. Vance Joseph from the Denver Broncos, again, will be the other virtual interview on Wednesday. Joseph is a much better candidate to me than Lou Anarumo. Vance Joseph's defense has actually been incredible the last couple of years. They led the NFL in sacks last year. They're up there again. Like, Vance Joseph's defenses have actually earned him an opportunity to have multiple head coaching interviews, and he's going to have multiple head coaching interviews. Diana Rossini reported about 4 or 5 teams, including the Tennessee Titans, who are going to interview Vance Joseph. Now, Joseph is a guy who I think has more of an option to truly be a head coach. Joseph has been a head coach before for 2 years in Denver, actually. They were absolutely terrible when he got fired, but it would be fair to say he had Trevor Siemian and who's the tall, bad quarterback for that? Peyton Lynch. Trevor Siemian and Peyton Lynch were Vance Joseph's quarterbacks. Now, I am not interested in Vance Joseph as a real option. I don't want Vance Joseph to be hired by the Titans, but nonetheless, that's a great fact-finding. He's not going to be your coordinator either, because that would be a lateral move, but that's a great fact-finding mission to get real good information from a guy like Vance Joseph. And even though I don't like Vance Joseph, I think that he does have a realistic shot to be the Tennessee Titans head coach. I just don't think it would be a good move. But Anarumo and Vance Joseph are interviewing on Wednesday. On Thursday, Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy, who is the favorite by pretty much anywhere you look, anecdotally, odds. Matt Nagy is the favorite to be the Tennessee Titans head coach. He's getting his virtual interview, not in person, but he's getting his virtual interview on Thursday. And I'm worried, but here's what I'll say. I'm happy that Matt Nagy's interview is coming early in the process. Okay? Get it out of the way. You did your boy a favor. Mike Borgonzi's boy is Matt Nagy. You did your boy a favor. You got his name out there. You checked him off the list. We know that we're interested. All right, now we can move on to more exciting options. And I would imagine that Matt Nagy will also get an in-person interview. And with that in mind, let's talk about the timeline here. Okay, so what is the timeline for the Tennessee Titans hiring someone? Okay? Well, we're going to go through what that looks like right now. So number one, this week, right now, with the wild card playoffs starting, the only people that the Tennessee Titans can interview are people who are unemployed right now, or teams whose season is finished, like the Colts, or a team that has a bye in the first week of the playoffs, like Vance Joseph. So again, Lou Anarumo, Matt Nagy, Vance Joseph, out, bye week. And they can only do virtual interviews with those people. Now, this does have me a little concerned, I guess, because there are certain coaches who are out already of the playoffs, who are available because of the bye, and the Tennessee Titans have not requested an interview with them. Number one, sorry about that. Brain fart. Number one, Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury has been requested to interview by like 4 or 5 teams. The Titans are not one of them. That is concerning to me. I don't think that Clint Kubiak is ready to be a head coach in the NFL. But even considering that, why would you not bring Clint Kubiak in and ask what he would do with Cam Ward in this offense? He's clearly one of the more bright offensive minds in the NFL, even if he's not ready to be a head coach. So you would still want to bring him in and at least see. Now, here's the problem. The problem is that Clint Kubiak could not be interested in the Tennessee Titans head coaching job. That could be a problem that we don't know exists. He could have turned a request down. He could have back-channeled through his agent that he's not interested. But also, outside of him, Anthony Weaver. Anthony Weaver of the Miami Dolphins is a guy who the Titans need to speak with. He had the Dolphins defense playing pretty good this year. He's a motivational guy who players in the locker room really respect, really like, former player as well. So you have that kind of cachet in the locker room. The Titans have not put out a request for Anthony Weaver, even though other teams have. The Titans have not put out a request for Clint Kubiak. And at this point, I don't know that they will. Will they wait for Clint Kubiak to be available later in the year after his team actually gets to the playoffs? Anthony Weaver's available now. If the request hasn't come in, is it going to come in? So those are two candidates who I'm not gung-ho on the Titans hiring those guys, but them not at least getting an interview request for a virtual interview, that does at least make me wonder. Okay? So all of those guys are available for interviews right now. Next week, after the wild card games, obviously things change, but guys who played in the wild card and lose can do virtual interviews on Tuesday, and the Monday night wild card game can do it on Wednesday. So, there are still people involved in the playoffs who the Titans haven't requested interviews with yet, who just aren't eligible right now because they play a game this week, but they could talk to those people next week. And then to cap things off, on the 19th of January, the Titans can actually begin in-person interviews with employed coaches. But the Tennessee Titans are starting in-person interviews this weekend with some guys who are unemployed. Let's talk about those options and some options I still want to see get an interview request that aren't available right now. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by the Ultimate QB app. Draft pick positions are set. So many teams are looking for their franchise quarterback. Ever wish that you could become a pro QB and get drafted first overall, maybe by the Tennessee Titans? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you called Ultimate QB Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of a number one draft pick quarterback, and it's your job to lead your team to greatness, helping turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. This is the number one QB career mode game on the mobile app stores. You can sign contracts, train and upgrade your player, build chemistry with your teammates, give input to your GM like Cam Ward likes to do, play actual games in 2D. You can become a football legend. You'll deal with the ups and downs of a quarterback career. Ultimate QB is totally free to play. It has no ads and it works 100% offline. Just head over to ultimate-QB.com. That's ultimate-QB.com, or just search Ultimate QB in your app store. And I've got something special just for you guys. Use the promo code LOCKED ON in all caps, and you're going to get a free boost in the game store to start your career. Ultimate QB Football Legend. QB1. It's your legacy. Today's episode is also brought to you by ZocDoc. Finding a doctor that you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. You want someone in network, nearby, with availability, and you want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, and helps you walk out feeling confident about your next step. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality, in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. I love that you can search by a specialty or a symptom so you can quickly find the right fit. Being able to choose whether I do in-person or video visits makes scheduling way easier, and appointments usually happen within 24 to 72 hours, and sometimes they even have same-day openings. Stop putting off your doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL, ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We talked about the virtual interviews that the Titans have set up and some guys who I guess they're just not going to request who are available. But now we got to talk about the in-person interviews that the Titans have set up this weekend, which have me much, much more excited. And now, as I'm recording the episode, massive news. The Baltimore Ravens have fired John Harbaugh. He instantly becomes my number one candidate. We are talking about a Super Bowl winning coach who has had incredible success, who knows how to lead a program. His offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, is getting a head coaching interview with, is it the Raiders or the Cardinals? Someone out west. Like, John Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the NFL. And like with a guy like Mike Vrabel, like with a guy like Kevin Stefanski, sometimes it's just time for a change. We saw this in Philadelphia with Andy Reid. Because the Eagles moved on from Andy Reid didn't mean that Andy Reid was all of a sudden a bad coach. It was just time for a change. And apparently it is time for a change with the Baltimore Ravens. We're hearing reports that multiple teams with head coach openings are going to readjust their board right now to get John Harbaugh included. He's going to be maybe the hottest free agent coach that you could possibly find. And again, I would absolutely love John Harbaugh. I want the Titans to schedule an interview with him as soon as they possibly can. He is going to be a heavy option. Heavy is probably not the right word, but he's going to be a much desired option for a ton of teams, the 6 teams that have opening. Absolutely. So the Titans need to get John Harbaugh in for an interview right away. They need to take care of that. He would be number 1 on my list, above Kevin Stefanski, above Mike McCarthy. That's a certified winner right there. You can't argue, oh, Mike McCarthy doesn't establish a culture. Kevin Stefanski has a losing record. None of that works for John Harbaugh. That's a baller coach right there. Please, please, please get me John Harbaugh. And look, it's not an offensive mind. It's not. But Harbaugh is the type of guy who's going to bring in an offensive mind to call plays, who's going to establish a culture for the team and have a high level of accountability and understands what works and what doesn't and has a ton of experience. I mean, John Harbaugh would be absolutely the best possible hire that the Titans can make right now. It's crazy that the Baltimore Ravens actually moved on from him. Just doesn't make a lot of sense, in my opinion. But regardless of that, Harbaugh is going to be in demand. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think that the Tennessee Titans are the best fit if I'm John Harbaugh. If I'm John Harbaugh, I want to go to Atlanta. That's a ready-made team. That's a great roster. That's where I think if I'm an experienced coach who wants to win right away and do something special right away, I think John Harbaugh makes the most sense for the Atlanta Falcons. But regardless of that, I still would like the Titans to hire him, and hopefully they get that request in soon. But they do have in-person interviews scheduled this weekend. And on Saturday, the Titans bring the man that was number 1 on my board before the John Harbaugh hire, Kevin Stefanski. Stefanski will be in the building on Saturday, and the Tennessee Titans need to do everything that they possibly can to impress him, because the Giants are going to be all over Kevin Stefanski. I think if you're Atlanta and you have Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix, that would work perfectly with what Kevin Stefanski wants to do on offense as well. There are going to be tons of suitors for Kevin Stefanski. The Titans need to put on a good face and handle that in-person interview very, very well. And not only that, but Raheem Morris will get an in-person interview with the Titans on Monday. I saw Sunday and Monday reported. Quite frankly, whether it's Sunday or Monday doesn't really matter to us at all, right? It's going to happen. It's not like that matters. But Raheem Morris, who was just fired by the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I do not want to hire Raheem Morris. It would be his 3rd time being a head coach. He just had one of the most talented rosters in the NFL and couldn't make the playoffs. I have no interest in hiring Raheem Morris as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. But I do have interest in Raheem Morris potentially being the defensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans. That would be a great fit. And we also have to say this, and this is a delicate topic. It's a sensitive topic, and I understand that, but Titans fans have questions. Having Raheem Morris in for an in-person interview this weekend constitutes one of the 2 required in-person Rooney Rule interviews. Now, there is some confusion, and I said on Twitter, hey, Raheem Morris in-person interview, hate to be the guy, but that does check one of the boxes of the Rooney Rule. It doesn't mean that Raheem Morris isn't qualified to be a head coach. It doesn't mean that, he isn't deserving of the interview or anything like that. I don't want him to be the Titans head coach, but I'm not here to tell him he doesn't deserve the interview. I mean, been a head coach in the NFL. He clearly knows what he's doing somewhat. But it also is important, and you guys ask me these questions, the process, and again, don't blame me for bringing up this kind of topic. Blame the NFL. Blame society for needing these kind of rules to have this topic. But no matter what, we know that the Titans cannot hire a head coach until they satisfy the Rooney Rule. And the Rooney Rule requires 2 in-person interviews with a person of color or a woman. That is required. That is a rule. It is a big cog in the wheel of the Tennessee Titans hiring process. So I'm not saying that Raheem Morris is just, oh, there's your Rooney Rule, check the box, blah, blah, blah. It's a sham. But at the same time, Raheem Morris will get the interview on Monday, and that does check off one box of the Titans fulfilling their duty to satisfy the Rooney Rule. It's just basic information. You can get mad and cry all you want, but the reality is the NFL made the rule. The Titans have to follow the rule. I cover the Titans. I bring you information, and there you go. There's your information. So we got Stefanski, we got Morris, and Morris checks one box of the Rooney Rule. They will need one more interview to check the Rooney Rule box. But the problem is, we talked about the timeline earlier, and I mentioned it. You can't do another in-person interview with anyone who's currently hired and employed until after the 19th. So unless the Titans find a Rooney Rule candidate that can do an in-person interview right now, they're probably not going to be able to hire somebody until at least after the 19th, which would be, the 19th is 2 weeks from yesterday, Monday. Well, you're probably listening to this on Wednesday. So 2 weeks from Monday. So I think the Tennessee Titans will have a new head coach by Saturday the 24th. Saturday, January 24th, I think a new Titans head coach will be hired by then. But again, that's because a lot of these in-person interviews can't actually take place until then. And some of these guys who I hope still get requests who aren't available right now, they could still be in the playoffs. Think Chris Shula, Robert Saleh, Jesse Minter, Jeff Hafley, Anthony Campanelli, Matt Burke. There's a good chance that a lot of those guys are still playing. Now, remember, I want to see Cliff Kingsbury, who was let go by the Washington Commanders. I want to see Mike McCarthy, who are both available right now. I want to see John Harbaugh. But the reality is, it's not like the Titans can interview Kevin Stefanski or Cliff Kingsbury or Mike McCarthy or John Harbaugh and hire them immediately. They can't. They have to satisfy the Rooney Rule before they're allowed to hire. So, again, with that in mind, and a lot of these candidates who the Tennessee Titans are interested in, who they literally are not legally allowed to talk to this week, I think that will make it take, a couple of days. The 19th is Monday, so you'll have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to get in-person interviews in, and then you can make your hire by the weekend. That's what I think happens, and I think after this week, there will be, 6 teams out. After next weekend, there will be even more. There will only be 4 teams in by the time that we get to the 19th. It'll be conference championship weekend. So unless, the Titans are dead set on one person who's on one of those teams, I think they have a good opportunity to get that hire made by conference championship weekend. But with that being said, Mike Borgonzi actually talked about the Tennessee Titans open head coaching position on Tuesday. He talked about why the Titans job is attractive, what he's looking for in a head coach, and had a pretty funny quote about Cam Ward. And we're going to dive into all of that right now. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and Friday is going to be even better with FanDuel, because every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new. They're going to give you boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off. The timing is perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds a little extra energy to your Friday night basketball. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We talked about the interviews the Titans have set up, the interviews that they don't have set up right now, the timeline for a hire, but now I want to dive into Mike Borgonzi's press conference on Tuesday. It was a lights out press conference, and that's a pretty good joke if you get the reference. But with that being said, before I dive in, I do want to thank you again for making Locked On Titans your first to listen each and every day, Monday through Friday. Tennessee Titans content all year round. Make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed, and thank you again for making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network. But Mike Borgonzi had his press conference on Tuesday. And again, he had some interesting things to say, but I thought one of the most interesting things that he had to say was about what makes the Titans' job attractive. What would be a selling point to future candidates? And I thought this answer was really good. Quote, I think we have some really good people in the building. People that are respected throughout the league in the front office here. I think we have a young quarterback that is ascending. Obviously, a second-year player next year. I think we have a young nucleus of players that you can build on here that have started to kind of build this culture the way that we want it to be. Jeff Simmons. I mean, who wouldn't want to coach Jeff Simmons on defense? We have the city of Nashville. Really, it's a great place to live, and we have a new stadium coming, so there's a lot of good, positive things to come here, but the first thing is the people in the building. We have a lot of experience here throughout the building, a lot of good people. We have support from our ownership group. Amy Adams Strunk supports us in everything that we do here. Yeah, those are really the reasons why I think this is a really attractive place for a coach, and he's absolutely right. You get Cam Ward to build around. You have the most cap space in the NFL. You have a good general manager that showed he does know what he's doing in the NFL draft. Now, some of the other cupboards are a little bit bare, but you have the best interior defensive lineman in the NFL. You have Cedric Gray at linebacker. You have the young weapons. You have pieces on the offensive line that improved out of the back end of the season. And again, I keep making the point that Nashville is a great place to live. Now, downtown in the city, the traffic, I know my Nashvillians in the comments are like, whatever. But compared to New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Atlanta, living in Tennessee, especially in like a suburb outside of Tennessee, or like a Dixon or a Mount Juliet or, something like that, very calm, very peaceful. Like Nashville is a good place to live, especially if you were a younger guy and you wanted to go to the clubs and champagne and campaign and have fun, yeah, you may not want to live in Nashville, Miami, or New York, or Atlanta, or Houston, or Dallas, or LA, or whatever might be better, Vegas. But if you're a guy who's almost 50, I think Nashville is a better fit for you. You know what I mean? No state taxes as well. That factors in. Any coach that signs in Tennessee is going to make more money if it's equal contracts, which probably wouldn't be, but is going to make more money without the state taxes. I think the Titans are a great opening. Quite frankly, I think they're a top 2 opening. And on tomorrow's show, we'll probably talk more about John Harbaugh, but I'll probably rank the head coach openings that are available right now. And I guess we have 7 now with the Baltimore Ravens. But again, I think this Tennessee Titans job is one of the best openings available. And I think Borgonzi put it perfectly in that statement. Now, Borgonzi also mentioned what he's looking for in a head coach. And I thought that was pretty enlightening as well. He said, quote, "We intend to bring in the right coach for this team long term. That's going to work with us to grow this team to get it better, to really instill a culture here. That's what we need. We need a leader that's going to show up every day here to work and really just instill belief, instill the attention to detail, that accountability that we need here." I mean, I've been telling you this all along. The reality is the Titans can focus on X's and O's and scheme, and that has to be important, but they need somebody who's going to hold everybody accountable. They need a coach that's going to set the culture, like Mike Borgonzi said. That is what is desperately missing here, and the reality is Brian Callahan and Mike McCoy might be 2 of the worst guys in the entire NFL to do that. Like, they are not motivators. They're not inspirational. They're not, piss and vinegar type guys like a Mike Vrabel would be. Like, they aren't those guys. I compared Brian Callahan and Mike McCoy. They're like how grandparents parent their grandchildren. Yeah, you can have this candy. Yeah, you can jump on the couch. Yeah, you're at grandma's house. Your parents don't let you get away with the stuff that your grandparents let you get away with. So to me, the Titans need a real parent. They need a real father who's going to go in and kick them in the butt and tell them to clean their room. Not somebody to put their arm around them and say, it's all right, you can clean it tomorrow. No, that's not what the Titans need right now. So I love that answer from Mike Borgonzi. He had a pretty funny answer about Cam Ward as well, and Cam Ward's involvement in the process. He said, Cam's going to sit down for a quick hello, probably with the finalists. But Mike Borgonzi said Cam's always in his office talking to him, and sometimes he says a little too much. Man, I got to tell you, every time I hear something new about Cam Ward, I'm like, that's my guy. He's a Kobe stan, big Lakers fan, big dog guy, talking too much, telling it like it is. I love this guy. I love this guy, man. Absolutely incredible. But I like the Borgonzi press conference. He just has an air of wisdom about him that you don't get with Chad Brinker. Brinker kind of seemed, in some of the press conferences, Brinker did seem a little flustered by answering the questions and understanding things and all that. But Borgonzi is just smooth with it, man. Smooth with it. Cyborg Gonzi. Like, when he's up there, he seems calm. He seems confident. He doesn't seem like he's making up his answers. He seems like he's convicted on what he's saying. I have full belief in Mike Borgonzi, but again, depending on who he hires as the head coach will determine whether that belief continues. But that's who the Titans have scheduled interviews with right now. Those are the guys they haven't scheduled with who I want to see. That's the timeline, Borgonzi's comments, all of that. That's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Titans. Again, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.